Hi guys, can you guess what today is? You guessed it, it's Kasima's
It's AMA
birthday.
Day. Ah, Jesus.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's your birthday again
Okay,
for like the 90th time this
forever, I
3 months.
guess. So
Yeah, forever.
okay.
We're
Well,
excited to be here. So welcome and thank you for joining us at Kasima's birthday. Uh, let's get the show started. Question number one. I assume that more information regarding incentivized watchers and the proof of guarantee consensus mechanism can't be shared with us yet. So are you able to elaborate on the decision to not decentralize block production? More specifically, what horizontal scaling mechanisms you might be putting in place and what measures you will take to ensure maximum uptime as a sole operator?
good questions. So for the first question, I'm going to say a few idioms that apply here. The first one is complexity is the enemy of security, and the second one is ship early, ship often. So as we looked at decentralizing block production, we felt like the complexity of the system increased many-fold. And at that point, we still hadn't proven out the core Plasma protocol in the wild. So we decided to take an incremental approach. And what we learned from operating the single operator network will help inform how we might be able to decentralize the network more. So these systems are already really complex, and trying to design even more complexity without some real world data is a bit like trying to run on sand. Your assumptions can shift out from under you very quickly. So what we've done is we've released the simplest system we could that we believe has utility to the market and to the Ethereum community. And by doing that, we believe we've maximized the security of the system to the best of our ability. And we can iterate from here with what we learn. For the second question, I want to be very clear that availability is incredibly important to us. We very much understand our role in the entire system. Also, like I mentioned in the ODP the other day, we've been very focused on building a resilient system, one that can recover from many kinds of failures. However, that recovery will sometimes require downtime. And you may have already noticed that when we deploy new versions of our services, we currently take downtime to do that. So while I would describe our system as resilient, I wouldn't currently describe them as highly available. We have put in processes in place to respond quickly to any failure that is not self-recovering. Our engineers are on call around the clock, and we have service level objectives in place, and we intend to increase them over time. The additional news is that for the past 6 months, we've been working on making our systems highly available. So we plan on rolling that out later this year. Question number two. Now that the mainnet is launched, do you plan to start onboarding businesses that currently use the OMG payment system? And if yes, is the plan to focus on this within the current year?
Yeah, so under Synca as a group, each of our companies essentially have their own roadmap, business strategy, and KPI that we have to follow, right? Some of those overlap, of course, and the plan has always been from the start, and it will continue to be that we build on each other's strengths and assets. In Southeast Asia, we're based, so much of our economy is about importing and exporting, and there's so many cross-border services that are happening. So the ability to move value and money around is still very much and will continue to be a major lifeline for the region to grow. Having both these companies under the same umbrella makes a lot of sense, right? As you saw in the news, we're going through integration with USDT, putting USDT onto layer 2 as a transfer layer right now. And so from a medium of value transfer and payment perspective, I'm very bullish that stablecoin will take the lead in payment. Then over time, what I'm betting will happen is you will continue to start to see branded currencies, things like loyalty points, in-game currencies, enterprise issuance stablecoins start being used as real money. So the current local and international payment scheme is not handled, like it's not set up to handle any of this stuff, right? And so the way that we look at it, having both the payment gateway and OMG Network under the same group umbrella puts us in a really positive position to take on this new market. Now, I wanted to also take this opportunity and clarify that we are two separate entities under the same group, and OMISE customer is actually Omise's customer, right? So OMG Network as a B2B would be providing services to Omise as our customer instead, not to their end merchant. And so as you can see, there's a play where you have to balance between like a B2B2C type of business between the two of our companies.
Question number 3. What do you think are the top challenges for the OMG team in gaining mass adoption of the tech? And how do you plan on addressing it?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think we take it from maybe 3 high-level perspectives. So first one is missing the trend, right? The larger trend on where payment, where blockchain, where financial services are going. The way I look at it is the risk for missing the trend is low because I feel like our team does a really good job and have strong foundation to keep eyes and ears on all channels that matter. The second challenge that I see is speed of converting accounts. So this is, for me, the risk of this is medium, and it all has to do with execution. So with infrastructure services, customers are sticky, right? What that means is when you convert someone, usually they stay with you for a fairly long time because the cost to getting them over is quite high. And then once that service is on board, there's continuity in service that needs to happen. So the risk there is that we need to get in with the customer first. And if we kind of lose that window, a lot of the times we have to wait a couple years for that specific customer. This is a little bit different when we talk about the open finance partnership. In the money Lego world, products should be interoperable, right? So what this means is that products are designed to not only be used as standalone products, but can easily be integrated and switch in and out. So I think approaching it, our business approach has been, we tackle enterprise, we also tackle the open finance. And I think we're starting to refine that balance and get that cadence down. So I think we solved the scaling problem really well for both the open finance and the enterprise world. As long as we keep our focus and just execute and execute, I think that this risk can be managed.
So the third one is a relatively obvious one, but it's competition, and it's one I like to talk about because actually I think the competition is really good not only for us but for the space. So you know, if we talk about it in terms of mass adoption, one thing to remember is that all these scaling solutions that are out there, all sort of the competition in layer 2, all comes with trade-offs, and multiple use cases will need different trade-offs to support their particular application. So with the competition in the space, with multiple choices that you're able to make, I think that leads not only us but the whole space to mass adoption. So I think that's really good. Some of the new research stuff that's coming out, like roll-ups, is all really interesting. I'm actually really excited about them. But also, I'm really excited to see them get proven out. And we haven't really seen a lot of those in the wild yet. And even for us, we've just reached production. We've just opened up our beta mainnet, but that's also after a lot of experience running this on various test nets on our own. So so I'm really excited to see what's going to shake out of all the stuff that's about to happen over the next maybe year or 2 years. But at the end of the day, I think there's going to be multiple layer 2 solutions, and they're going to find their own market based on the trade-offs they make and the functionality that they provide. And the market will decide which trade-offs work for them. And for us, I think it means keeping an eye on that competition, keeping an eye on the market we serve, and having a strong understanding of how we position ourselves. But I always like to quote some of our friends from Plasma Group. When they say that they believe in a mature layer 2 space, a lot of these technologies are going to live together. And I feel really good about where we stand in terms of market positioning. And of course, the ultimate thing the most important thing for us is that we continue to execute and execute and execute. Let's keep shipping software. Thank you again for joining us for another AMA.
Kasima's birthday.
Well, if you want to find out more about us, you can go to our website at omg.network.
Stay rock, guys.